Okay, so you ever get that feeling like the world is huge EE and we're just tiny specks trying to figure it all out?
It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
Today, we're diving into that feeling headfirst. We're tackling two huge EE questions about the universe that and no one has the answer to.
The universe is a masterclass in mystery, for sure. Even with all our fancy telescopes and theories, some things remain tantalizingly out of reach.
Okay, so first up, how many universes are there? It's a doozy, right?
It really is.
Our source material starts with this analogy. Picture the Earth. Now imagine it fitting inside the sun 1,000,000 times over.
Wow. Okay, I'm picturing it.
And then imagine our sun, huge EE as it is, as just one tiny speck in the Milky Way galaxy.
It puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Totally. But it gets wilder. The source material then jumps into this whole concept of the multiverse using string theory as a starting point.
Ah, string theory. Always a mind bender. For those who haven't ventured into those theoretical realms, it basically suggests that the universe is made up of these tiny, vibrating strings.
Right, like little rubber bands almost.
Exactly. And those strings, they can vibrate in different ways, creating a whole bunch of different universes, each with its own unique set of physical laws.
So instead of one cosmic symphony, it's like an infinite number of orchestras all playing different tunes at the same time.
Precisely. And the numbers some physicists propose are truly mind-boggling. I mean, imagine if every single atom in our universe—
And there are a lot of atoms.
oh yeah, more than we can even fathom. But imagine if each atom had its own universe, and then each atom in those universes had their own. And we did that 2 more times.
My head is spinning already.
And that, my friend, would still be just a tiny fraction of the total number of universes that string theory suggests could exist.
Okay, so string theory aside, because it is just a theory, the source material also talks about the possibility of pocket universes. Have you heard about these?
Oh, absolutely. It's this idea that our universe is just one of countless bubble universes, all popping in and out of existence, each potentially governed by its own unique set of physical laws.
Right, so maybe gravity works differently in another universe, or time itself flows differently.
It really makes you question the nature of reality, doesn't it?
Totally. But here's the kicker. The source material also mentions that some scientists are sticking to their guns. There's only one universe, ours. And then some philosophers argue that even that might be an illusion.
It's enough to make your head spin.
Right. It's like the more we learn, the less we know for sure. But that's what makes this stuff so fascinating. Maybe someday we'll have a definitive answer, but for now.
For now, we get to revel in the mystery of it all.
Exactly, which is a pretty cool place to be when you think about it. Okay, ready to tackle another brain bender?
Hit me with it.
All right, so question number 2, it's a classic. Why haven't we found alien life yet?
The Fermi paradox. It's a question that never gets old, does it?
It really doesn't. I mean, think about it. The universe is huge EE. We've established that.
Definitely vast.
And we're finding more and more planets all the time, planets that could potentially support life. So, where is everybody?
Right. It's the ultimate cosmic mystery. And our source material dives into some really interesting possibilities. One that always sends chills down my spine is this idea. What if there's this super advanced civilization out there, right? And they're silencing anyone who gets too loud, basically eliminating the competition before it even gets started.
Okay, that's both terrifying and kind of genius.
They make you think, right?
Like, what if our radio signals, our attempts to reach out, what if that's what gets flagged as too loud?
It's a chilling thought. And the source material doesn't stop there. It also brings up the possibility that maybe intelligent life has a tendency to self-destruct.
Yeah, not exactly comforting, is it?
Not really. But it does make you look at our own planet a little differently, doesn't it?
For sure. Like maybe we're not alone in facing these existential threats, climate change, political conflicts. Maybe it's a universal challenge.
A sobering thought. But there's also room for optimism. The source material also suggests that maybe, just maybe, we're looking for the wrong things.
You mean like our idea of what an alien signal should look like is totally off?
Exactly. What if they're communicating in ways we haven't even conceived of yet, using technology we can't even imagine?
Or maybe, and this one's a bit out there, but maybe those advanced civilizations evolved beyond the need for things like spaceships and radio waves.
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
What if they're so advanced they exist on a microscopic scale? Maybe we're looking right at them and don't even realize it.
Now that is a mind-blowing concept. It challenges everything we think we know about life and intelligence.
Right. It's a good reminder that we're constantly learning, constantly revising our understanding of the universe.
And that's what makes this whole search so exciting. It's not just about finding them, it's about expanding our understanding of what's possible.
It's wild to think about all those planets out there, right? Like, each one a whole other world with its own history, its own story.
It really captures the imagination, doesn't it? And with every new exoplanet we discover, the possibility of finding life beyond Earth feels a little bit closer.
Speaking of exoplanets, our source material dives into this whole idea of biosignatures, these chemical hints that could indicate life. It's like being cosmic detectives.
It is, except instead of fingerprints, we're looking for, say, methane and oxygen together in an atmosphere. That's a pretty good indicator that something interesting is happening on that planet.
Okay, so finding those gases is like finding a clue, but then what? How do we know for sure it's a sign of life and not some weird geological process?
That's where things get even more complex. It's not enough to find just one gas, right?
Mm.
Scientists have to look at the specific combinations, the ratios of different gases to see if they line up with what we'd expect from biological activity.
Yeah.
It's a huge challenge, but the technology is getting better all the time.
It's mind-blowing, and the James Webb Space Telescope, that feels like a total game changer.
Absolutely. One of the sources mentioned how it's so sensitive it can detect the heat signature of a bumblebee on the moon from Earth.
Seriously. That's incredible. But even with all that tech, even if we do find these chemical hints of life, we can't exactly just pop over for a visit, can we?
Not quite. Interstellar travel is a whole other can of worms. Confirmation of life on an exoplanet, it would probably involve years, if not decades, of further study. We'd be looking for patterns, for changes over time, anything to rule out false positives.
So it's more like finding a message in a bottle, right? It's a huge deal to find it, but then you've got this whole other mystery to unravel.
Exactly. Who sent it? What does it mean? And in the case of exoplanets, is anyone even still there? These are questions we might not have answers to for generations, if ever.
It's humbling, isn't it? But even if we never get to shake hands with an alien, this whole search is pushing us to rethink our place in the universe.
I completely agree. One source, it talked about how this search for life beyond Earth is also a search for a better understanding of life itself.
What does that even mean?
Well, we tend to define life based on what we know here, right? Carbon-based, needs water, breathes oxygen. But what if those are just the rules for Earth? What if somewhere else there's life as we don't know it?
Like, what if it's silicon-based? Or thrives on methane?
Exactly. It really makes you question everything you thought you knew.
It's like our definition of life is this tiny little box, and we're just starting to realize how big that box could actually be.
And that, I think, is the most exciting part of this whole endeavor.
I totally agree. And on that note, that about wraps up our deep dive into these two huge unanswered questions about the universe. We hope you enjoyed exploring these mind-bending ideas with us.
It's been a pleasure pondering the cosmos with you.
Always a good time. And remember, the universe is full of mysteries. So keep looking up, keep asking questions, and most importantly, never stop exploring. We'll catch you in the next deep dive.